Here's the thing about being the daughter no one worries about. They tell you it's a compliment. You're so independent. You don't need anyone. You're the strong one. They say these things like they're gifts, like being able to survive alone is something to celebrate. But here's what they don't tell you. Being the strong one means no one checks on you. Being the independent one means no one asks if you're okay. Being the one who doesn't need anyone means you end up completely, utterly alone when everything falls apart. My name is Chloe. I'm 24 years old. I work at a coffee shop called Grounds and Hounds, which is ironic because I have a dog named Bailey who hates the smell of coffee. I live in a small town in Oklahoma called Stillwater. Not the kind of town you've heard of. The kind of town with one traffic light and a diner that's been open since 1952 and a population that disappears every summer because there's nothing to do except watch the wheat grow. I've lived here my whole life. Same house. Same room. Same crack in my bedroom ceiling that looks like a lightning bolt. I should have moved years ago, but I didn't. Because my parents needed me. Because someone had to take care of the house. Because someone had to watch the pets when they went on vacation with Stephanie. Stephanie. My older sister. 26. Golden child. Lawyer. The one with the framed photos on the living room wall. The one my parents talk about at dinner. The one who gets the good wine poured into her glass while I drink tap water from a glass with a chip in the rim. I don't hate Stephanie. That's the thing people don't understand. You can love someone and still see exactly who they are. Stephanie isn't cruel. She's just centered. The universe revolves around her, and she's never had a reason to believe otherwise. My parents are the ones who put her there. My father, Mark, 58, retired. A man who measures love in usefulness. The more you need him, the more he loves you. And I've never needed him. Not because I'm strong. Because I learned early that asking him for help meant hearing, "You're so independent," in a tone that made it sound like a disease. My mother, Diane, 56. A woman who believes that peace is more important than justice. She never starts fights. She never ends them either. She just stands in the middle, wringing her hands, hoping everyone will stop being so dramatic. And then there's me, the one who stays, the one who cleans, the one who feeds the dog and the cat and remembers to buy groceries and pays the electric bill when my parents forget. We don't know what we'd do without you, my mother says. She means it. She just doesn't mean it enough to stay. Welcome back to Gentle Drama. Get comfortable. Grab your coffee. The people in this story had every chance to do the right thing. They just didn't. Drop a comment and tell us, what city are you watching from, and how old are you? And be sure to subscribe. You're going to love it here. The tornado warning came at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was at work, grinding coffee, wiping counters, smiling at customers who didn't smile back. My phone buzzed. An emergency alert. The kind that makes your whole body tense up even before you read the words. Tornado warning in effect for Stillwater County until 8 p.m. Seek shelter immediately. I texted my mother. Did you see the alert? Yes. Your father is making arrangements. What does that mean? No answer. I texted my father. What's the plan for the storm? We're leaving. Your mother and Stephanie and I, taking the car. What about me? You have your own car. Follow behind us. That was the plan. Follow behind them. Like I was an afterthought. Like I was cargo they forgot to load. I texted back. Where are we going? Your aunt's house in Oklahoma City. 4 hours away. I looked at the clock. 2:30 p.m. The sky was already turning green. The kind of green that means business. I'll leave as soon as my shift ends at 4. No response. If you've made it this far, you can probably feel what's coming. Before things get real, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. I promise you, you do not want to miss what happens when that car pulls out of the driveway without her. Let's keep going. My shift ended at 4 p.m. I drove home. The roads were empty. Everyone was already gone, or already hiding. The wind was picking up. Trash cans tipped over. Tree branches bent like they were bowing to something invisible. I pulled into the driveway. My parents' car was still there. Good. They waited. I ran inside. Bailey was barking. Mowgli was hiding under the couch. Hey guys, we're leaving. Come on. Bailey wagged his tail. Mowgli hissed. Typical. I looked around the house. My parents were in the living room. Stephanie was on her phone. I'm here, I said. We can go.
My father looked at me.
Then at the window. Then at his watch. There's been a change of plans. What kind of change? The car is full. I stared at him. Full of what? Your mother's things. Stephanie's things.
Supplies.
We can't fit you. You can't fit me? The trunk is packed. The back seat has your mother and Stephanie. There's no room. I looked at the car through the window.
A sedan.
For seats. My father driving. My mother in the passenger seat. Stephanie in the back. 3 seats occupied. 1 empty. There's a seat. Right there. Behind you. My father shook his head. That's where we put the supplies. Put the supplies in the trunk. The trunk is full. Then put them in my car. I'll follow you. He looked at me. Then at the sky. The green was darker now. We can't wait. The storm is coming. We need to leave now. Then leave now. I'll follow. You don't know the way. GPS. He didn't have an answer for that. But he didn't have to. Because my mother spoke first. Chloe, honey, we can't take the animals. They wouldn't be safe in the car. You need to stay with them. I looked at her. You want me to stay here? With the dog and the cat. During a tornado. The basement is safe. You'll be fine. Mom, the tornado could destroy the house. It won't. The forecast says it's passing to the north. The forecast. She was trusting the forecast. With my life. Stephanie looked up from her phone. Chloe, stop being dramatic. You're always like this. Making everything about you. Making everything about me? You're leaving me in a house during a tornado. You're not a child. You can take care of yourself. And you can't. She didn't answer. She just looked back at her phone. My father opened the car door. We're leaving.
Now.
My mother grabbed her purse. Chloe, go to the basement. Take the animals. We'll call you when we get there. And if the house gets hit? It won't. She said it like saying it made it true. I stood in the doorway. Bailey was pressed against my legs. Mowgli was somewhere behind the couch. The wind was howling. The sky was almost black. My father started the car. My mother got in. Stephanie didn't even look up. The car backed out of the driveway, pulled onto the road, drove away.
No wave. No goodbye.
No, I love you. Or, we'll be back for you. Or, I'm sorry we're leaving you to die. Just the red taillights disappearing around the corner.
I stood there for a long time.
The wind whipped my hair across my face. The screen door slammed against the frame. They were gone. They left me. If you've made it this far, you're one of the few.
Most people would have stopped by now.
But you stayed.
That tells me something about you.
Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. What comes next? You don't want to miss it. I didn't go to the basement right away. I stood in the living room. The house was quiet. The clock on the wall ticked. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, the world was preparing to tear itself apart. Bailey whined. He knew something was wrong. Dogs always know. It's okay, I said. We're going to be okay. I didn't believe it. I found Mowgli under the couch.
Pulled him out.
He scratched my arm. I didn't even feel it. I carried them both to the basement. Bailey on the leash. Mowgli in his carrier. The basement was cold.
Damp.
It smelled like old laundry and forgotten things. I sat on an old couch. Bailey curled up next to me. Mowgli hissed from his carrier. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. We made it to the highway. Traffic is bad. Hope you're in the basement. Stay safe. Hope you're in the basement. Not, did you make it? Not, are you okay? Just hope. I didn't respond. Another text. From my mother. We're praying for you. Love you. Praying. That was her solution. Praying. I put my phone down. Stared at the wall. The basement had a small window near the ceiling. I could see the sky. It was green. Then gray. Then black. The wind picked up. The house creaked. Bailey whimpered. I put my hand on his head. It's okay, I said again. But it wasn't okay. It would never be okay. The tornado hit at 5:47 p.m. I know the time because I looked at my phone. I wanted to know exactly when my life changed. The sound was like nothing I'd ever heard. A freight train,
A roar.
a scream, all of it together, coming from everywhere at once. The house shook. The windows upstairs shattered. I heard glass breaking, wood splintering, the roof groaning like it was being pulled apart. Bailey pressed himself against me. I put my arms around him. Mowgli was silent in his carrier. Even he knew not to make a sound. I closed my eyes. I didn't pray. I didn't cry. I just held onto my animals and waited. The tornado lasted 90 seconds. That's it. 90 seconds. Less time than it takes to microwave a meal. Less time than it takes to brush your teeth. But it felt like forever. Like the world was ending, and I was the only one left to witness it. And then it was over. The silence was worse than the noise. I sat in the basement for 10 minutes. Maybe 20. I don't know. I couldn't move. Bailey started wagging his tail. He didn't know what had happened. He just knew the scary noise was gone. "Good boy," I whispered. I stood up. My legs were shaking. I climbed the basement stairs, pushed open the door. The house was gone. Not all of it. The basement survived. The walls around the basement. But the living room was open to the sky. The kitchen was a pile of wood and drywall. My bedroom?
Gone.
The ceiling was gone. The walls were gone. My bed was gone. I stood in the rubble. The sun was coming out. The storm had passed. And I was still standing. Bailey sniffed around. Mowgli meowed from his carrier.
We survived.
We survived, and they left us. All right, this is the moment everything changes. If you're still here, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe because what comes next? You deserve to see what happens when Chloe stops waiting for her family to love her. My phone started buzzing. My mother. Are you okay? We saw the news. It hit your area. My father. Chloe, answer phone. Are you safe? Stephanie. Chloe. Call us. I stared at the messages. They left me. They drove away. They didn't look back. And now they wanted to know if I was okay. I typed back. I'm alive. The house is gone. My mother called. I didn't answer. She called again. I didn't answer. She texted. We're coming back. We'll be there as soon as we can. Coming back. Now they were coming back. Now that the danger was over. Now that there was nothing left to save. I didn't respond. The neighbors arrived first. Mr. Henderson from across the street. His house was still standing.
Barely.
Chloe. Thank God you're okay. Where are your parents? They left. Left? When? Before the storm. They couldn't fit me in the car.
He stared at me.
His mouth opened.
Closed.
Opened again. They left you? During a tornado? They said there wasn't room. He looked at the rubble.
At me.
At Bailey sitting next to me, wagging his tail. You can stay with us, he said. We have room. We have power. We have food. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Don't thank me. No one should be alone after something like this. No one should be alone. But I was. I'd always been. My parents arrived at 9 p.m. The car pulled up to the ruins of the house. My mother got out first. She was crying. My father stood next to her, staring at the pile of wood that used to be his home. Stephanie stayed in the car. Chloe. My mother ran toward me, wrapped her arms around me. You're okay. You're okay. Thank God. I didn't hug her back. The house, my father said. It's gone. Yes. Everything. Everything.
He looked at me.
How did you survive? The basement. The basement saved you.
Yes.
The basement saved me.
Not you.
Not Mom. Not Stephanie. The basement. He didn't say anything to that. My mother pulled back. Looked at me. We're so sorry we left. But we couldn't fit you. The car was full. The car wasn't full, Mom. There was an empty seat. You just chose to fill it with supplies instead of me. We needed supplies. You needed me more. She started crying again. I didn't comfort her. My father cleared his throat. We'll figure this out. We'll get insurance. We'll rebuild. You'll rebuild. I won't be here. What do you mean? I mean I'm leaving. Leaving? Where? Anywhere but here. I walked to the car. Open the back door. Stephanie was sitting there, looking at her phone. Get out. What? Get out of the car. You're in my seat. It's not your seat. It was the seat you didn't save for me. The seat that could have held me. The seat you chose to fill with a suitcase instead of your sister.
Get out.
She got out, stood next to my mother, stared at me like I was a stranger. I got in the car. Bailey jumped in next to me, Mowgli in his carrier on my lap. Chloe, what are you doing? My mother asked. I'm leaving. But where will you go? I don't know yet, but anywhere is better than here. I started the car, pulled away from the rubble, from the house I grew up in, from the family that left me to die. In the rearview mirror, I saw my mother crying, my father standing with his hands in his pockets, Stephanie looking at her phone. They didn't chase me, didn't call out, didn't try to stop me, because they never really wanted me in the first place. I drove for an hour, maybe 2. I didn't have a destination. I just drove. Bailey stuck his head out the window. Mowgli fell asleep in his carrier. The radio was playing static. I turned it off. The silence was better. It was honest. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Please come back. We love you. I didn't respond. Another text. From my father. We didn't mean to leave you. It was an accident. An accident. Leaving your daughter to die in a tornado was an accident. Like forgetting milk at the grocery store. Like showing up late to a meeting. I pulled over to the side of the road. Stared at the dark fields stretching out in every direction. I thought about all the times they'd chosen Stephanie over me. All the birthdays they forgot. All the dinners where they talked about her job and her life and her future and never once asked about mine. I thought about the time I won the art contest in middle school. My mother said, "That's nice, honey," and then turned to Stephanie to ask about her science project. I thought about the time I graduated high school. They came to the ceremony, but they left early because Stephanie had a work emergency that turned out to be a happy hour. I thought about the time I called my mother after a bad breakup. She listened for 5 minutes, then said, "Stephanie just got engaged. Can we talk about this later?" 1,000 small cuts. 1,000 small reminders that I was second. That I was less. That I was the moon, not the sun. And now this. The tornado. The car. The empty seat. They had literally left me to die. Not because they were evil. Because they didn't even think about me. Because I was so far from their minds that it never occurred to them to save me. That was the worst part. It wasn't malice. It was indifference. And indifference is worse than hate. Because hate at least means you exist. If you've made it this far, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe, because what comes next? You deserve to see what happens when Chloe builds a new life. I found a motel an hour later. A small place off the highway. Vacancy sign flickering. The kind of place where no one asks questions. The woman at the front desk looked at me. At the dog. At the cat carrier. How long? 1 night. Maybe 2.
$40.
Cash only. I paid.
Took the key.
Room 12. The room was small. A bed. A bathroom. A TV that probably didn't work. The wallpaper was peeling. The carpet smelled like old cigarette smoke. It was paradise. I put Mowgli's carrier on the bed. Opened it. He slunk out, found a corner, curled up. Bailey jumped on the bed. Wagged his tail. This is home now, I told him. At least for tonight. I lay down. Bailey pressed against my chest. I could hear Mowgli purring from his corner. My phone buzzed. My mother again. Chloe, please call us. We're worried. I turned off the phone. I didn't need them. I never needed them. I just wanted them. And wanting isn't the same as needing. I closed my eyes. The wind was picking up again. A new storm. But this one wasn't a tornado. This one was just weather. I was safe. I was alive. I was alone. And for the first time in my life, alone felt like freedom. Here's something I learned in that motel room, lying on a bed that smelled like cigarettes, with a dog on my chest and a cat in the corner. Freedom is not a place. It's a decision. A choice to stop waiting. To stop hoping. To stop believing that this time, maybe they'll choose you. I woke up at 6 a.m. The sun was coming through the thin curtains. Bailey was still asleep, his head on my shoulder. Mowgli was sitting on the windowsill, watching birds that weren't there. I didn't cry.
I didn't feel sad.
I felt empty. The kind of empty that comes after you've been hollowed out by people who were supposed to protect you. I sat up, looked at my phone. 34 messages. 12 from my mother. 8 from my father. 6 from Stephanie. The rest from neighbors and coworkers who'd heard what happened. I didn't read them. I didn't need to.
I knew what they said.
Where are you? Please come back. We love you. We didn't mean to leave you. We're sorry.
Sorry.
They were always sorry. Sorry after they forgot my birthday. Sorry after they missed my art show. Sorry after they spent Christmas at Stephanie's house instead of coming to see me. Sorry was a word they used to make themselves feel better. It wasn't for me. It was never for me. I turned off my phone, packed my bag, leashed Bailey, picked up Mowgli's carrier. The woman at the front desk was drinking coffee and doing a crossword puzzle. Leaving so soon? Yes. Where are you headed? I don't know yet. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded, like she understood, like she'd been where I was once. Good luck, she said. Thank you. I loaded the car. Bailey in the passenger seat. Mowgli in the back. I didn't have a destination. I just had a direction.
West. I drove.
If you've made it this far, you can probably feel what's coming. Before things get real, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. I promise you, you do not want to miss what happens when Chloe stops running and starts building. Let's keep going. I drove for 3 days. Not because I couldn't find a place to stop. Because I didn't know where I wanted to be. Every town looked the same. Every gas station. Every diner. Every motel with its flickering vacancy sign. I slept in my car the first night. Pulled over at a rest stop. Bailey curled up in the back seat. Mowgli slept in his carrier. I leaned the seat back and stared at the stars. I thought about my parents. About Stephanie. About the house that was now a pile of wood.
I should have been sad.
I should have been angry. But all I felt was tired. Tired of being the one who stayed. Tired of being the one who cleaned up the mess. Tired of being the one who loved people who didn't love her back. I closed my eyes. Slept. Dreamed of nothing. The second day, I stopped at a diner in a town I'd never heard of. The waitress was in her 50s. Gray hair. Kind eyes. She called me Han and refilled my coffee without asking. Where are you headed? I don't know. Running from something? I looked at her. How did you know? Takes one to know one. She sat down across from me. Her name tag said Margot. I ran from my husband 20 years ago, she said. Packed a bag, took the kids, drove until I couldn't see straight. Ended up here. Been here ever since. Do you regret it? Not for a second. She looked at Bailey, who was sleeping under the table. At Mowgli, who was in his carrier on the seat next to me. You got your family with you, she said. That's all that matters. They're not my family. They're a dog and a cat. Sounds like family to me. She got up, refilled my coffee, walked away. I sat there for a long time thinking about what she said. That's all that matters. Maybe she was right. Maybe family wasn't about blood. Maybe it was about who stayed. Who showed up. Who didn't leave you behind. Bailey stayed. Mowgli stayed. They didn't have a choice, really. But they also didn't run. They didn't look at me and say, the car is full. They just stayed. I finished my coffee. Paid the bill. Left Margot a $20 tip. Come back anytime, Han, she said. Maybe I will. All right, this is the moment everything changes. If you're still here, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe, because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe finds her home. On the third day, I found a town. Small. Not too small. The kind of town with a main street and a library and a coffee shop that wasn't a chain. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe because the sign said, Welcome to Cedar Falls. Population 4,203. Maybe because the sun was setting and I was tired. Maybe because something told me to. I found a motel. Not the nicest. Not the worst. The woman at the front desk asked how long I was staying. I don't know yet. A few days. Maybe longer. We have a weekly rate. How much?
She told me.
It was cheap. Cheap enough. I'll take a week. I paid. Unloaded the car. Bailey explored the room. Mowgli hid under the bed. I sat on the edge of the mattress. Stared at the wall. A week. 7 days. Time to figure out what came next. I turned on my phone. 112 messages. I scrolled through them. My mother. My father. Stephanie. Cousins.
Aunts.
Neighbors. Coworkers. I didn't read any of them. I just deleted them. All of them. One by one. Then I blocked my mother's number. Then my father's. Then Stephanie's. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. The next morning I went for a walk. Cedar Falls was pretty. Old buildings. Big trees. A river running through the middle of town. I passed a coffee shop. A bookstore. A pet supply store. A gallery. The gallery caught my eye.
Small.
White walls. Paintings in the window. I stopped. Looked at them. Landscapes mostly. A few portraits.
Good.
Not great, but good. The door was open. A bell rang when I walked in. A woman appeared from the back.
Young.
30s. Dark hair. Glasses.
E.
Can I help you? Just looking. Are you an artist? I laughed. What gave it away? The way you look at paintings. Like you're trying to figure out how they did it.
Guilty.
She introduced herself.
I'm Maya.
I own this place.
I'm Chloe.
Where are you from, Chloe? Nowhere. Everywhere. I'm not sure yet. She smiled. I know that feeling. We talked for an hour. About art. About running away. About starting over. Maya had moved to Cedar Falls 5 years ago. After a divorce. After her ex-husband cleaned out their bank account and left her with nothing. I had a suitcase and a dream, she said. That's it. You didn't have family? My family told me to stay. To work it out. To forgive him. She shook her head. I couldn't. So I left. Haven't talked to them in years. That sounds lonely. It is. Sometimes. But it's better than being with people who don't see you. She looked at me. You're running from something too, aren't you? I'm running from people who left me behind. Then you're running in the right direction. She handed me a card. If you need a job, I'm looking for help. Part-time. Just a few hours a week. I don't know how long I'm staying. That's okay. Neither did I. I took the card. Put it in my pocket. If you've made it this far, you're one of the few. Most people would have stopped by now. But you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. What comes next? You don't want to miss it. I started working at the gallery the next week.
Part-time.
Like Maya said. A few hours. Hanging paintings. Talking to customers. Wiping down the counters. It wasn't glamorous. But it was something. A reason to get out of bed. A reason to stay in Cedar Falls. I found an apartment. A small one-bedroom above a bakery. The landlord was an old man named Frank who smelled like bread and asked too many questions. You got a job? Yes. You got references? Not really. You got money for rent? I have savings. Enough for a few months. He looked at me. At Bailey. At Mowgli in his carrier. I'll give you a chance, he said. Don't make me regret it. I won't. The apartment was small. A living room. A kitchen. A bedroom. A bathroom with a tub that didn't drain well. But it had windows. Big windows. The kind that let in light. I put Bailey's bed in the corner. Mowgli's litter box in the bathroom. My clothes in the closet. It wasn't much. But it was mine. The first week, I didn't call my family. The second week, I didn't either. The third week, my mother showed up.
I don't know how she found me.
Maybe the bank. Maybe the phone records. Maybe someone from the old town told her. She was standing outside the gallery when I finished my shift. Chloe. Mom. I've been so worried. You should have been worried when you left me in a tornado. She flinched. Like I'd hit her. We didn't mean. You didn't mean to leave me? You got in the car. You drove away. You didn't look back. How do you not mean to do that? The car was full. The car wasn't full, Mom. There was an empty seat. You chose to put supplies there instead of me. You chose supplies over your daughter. She started crying. The same tears she always cried. The ones that were supposed to make me feel guilty. I didn't feel guilty. I felt nothing.
We love you, she said.
No, you don't. You love the idea of me. You love that I was useful. You love that I took care of the house and the pets and everything you didn't want to deal with. But you don't love me. Not really. Because if you loved me, you wouldn't have left. Chloe, go home, Mom. Go home to Stephanie. She's the one you wanted in the car anyway. I walked away. She called after me. I didn't stop. All right, this is the moment everything changes. If you're still here, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe, because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe builds a new family. The months passed. Cedar Falls became home. Not because it was special. Because I made it special. I worked at the gallery. I painted in my apartment. I took Bailey for walks along the river. I let Mowgli sit on the windowsill and watch the world go by. Maya became a friend. Then something more. Not romantic. Just sisterly. She was the sister I never had. The one who showed up. The one who asked how I was doing. The one who remembered my birthday. I got you something, she said on my 25th birthday. She handed me a small box, wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a key. What's this? The gallery. I'm making you a partner. If you want.
Sitter här.
Maya, I can't afford. It's not about money. It's about trust. About family. We're not family. Yes, we are. Family isn't blood. Family is who shows up. And you've shown up. Every day. For 6 months. You've shown up for me, for the gallery, for this town. I cried. Not sad tears. Happy tears. The kind that come when you realize you're not alone anymore. Yes, I said.
Yes.
I want to. She hugged me. Welcome to the family, Chloe. I didn't call my parents on my birthday. They didn't call either. Maybe they'd given up. Maybe they'd realized I wasn't coming back. Stephanie sent a text from a new number. Mom is sick. She's asking for you. I didn't respond. I didn't know if it was true. I didn't care. That sounds cruel. I know it does. But you have to understand. They had years to love me. Years to show up. Years to put me first. They didn't. And now it was too late. The gallery grew. Maya and I worked together. Days and nights. Weekends. Holidays. We built something. Something real. Something that mattered. I started painting again. Not just landscapes. Real paintings. The ones I'd been afraid to make. I painted a woman standing in a doorway. Her back to the viewer. A suitcase in her hand. I called it The Leaving. It sold in a week. I painted another. A girl in a basement, holding a dog and a cat. The ceiling above her was open to the sky. I called it The Survivor. It sold too. People liked my work. Not because it was technically perfect. Because it was honest. Because it came from a place of real pain. Because people could see themselves in it. This is you, isn't it? Maya asked, looking at The Survivor. Part of me. The best part.
I didn't know about that.
But I knew I was finally becoming someone I recognized. If you've made it this far, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe finds peace. A year after the tornado, I got a letter. Handwritten. My mother's handwriting. I recognized it immediately. I almost threw it away. But I didn't. I opened it. Dear Chloe, I know you don't want to hear from us. I know you think we don't love you. But I need you to know that we do. We always have. We just didn't show it well. Your father is not well. He has cancer. The doctors say it's aggressive. He's asking for you. I know you're angry. I know you have every right to be. But please.
Come home.
Just once.
So he can see you. So he can say goodbye.
Your mother. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in the drawer with the other things I didn't know what to do with. I didn't call. I didn't go. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. Done being the one who showed up. Done being the one who put their needs above mine. Done being the one who came running every time they called. They left me. They left me to die. And now they wanted me to come back?
No.
I couldn't. Maya found me sitting on the floor of my apartment. Bailey in my lap. Mowgli on the windowsill. What's wrong? I handed her the letter. She read it. Her face went soft. Are you going to go? I don't know. Yes, you do. You're just scared to say it. I looked at her. What would you do? I'd ask myself, what do I need? Not what do they need. What do I need? I thought about it. What did I need? I needed peace. I needed to stop being pulled back into their orbit. I needed to protect the life I'd built. I'm not going, I said. Then don't. Will I regret it? Maybe. But you'll regret going more. She was right. She was always right. I didn't go to see my father. He died 3 months later. I found out from a cousin who tracked me down on social media. Your dad passed away. The funeral is Saturday. Your mom wants you there. I didn't respond. I didn't go.
I sat in my apartment that day.
I painted. I played with Bailey. I let Mowgli sit on my lap. I didn't cry. I didn't feel guilty. I felt nothing, because he was already dead to me. He'd been dead since the moment he drove away and left me behind. But here's the thing about grief. It doesn't come when you expect it. It comes later, when you're washing dishes, when you're walking the dog, when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m. and you can't sleep. I grieved my father, not the man who left me, the man I wished he was, the man who would have turned the car around, the man who would have said, we're not leaving without her. That man never existed. I grieved him anyway. Time passed. The gallery grew. Maya and I became known in the local art scene. We started hosting shows, bringing in artists from other cities, building something that mattered. I stopped checking my phone for messages from my family. I stopped hoping. I stopped waiting. And then one day, I realized I hadn't thought about them in weeks. Not because I'd forgotten, because I'd healed. All right, this is the moment everything changes. If you're still here, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe closes the door for good. The last time I heard from my mother was 2 years after the tornado. A letter, like the first one, handwritten. Her handwriting was shakier now. Chloe, I'm selling the house. The one your father and I built. The one you grew up in. It's too big for me now. I found some of your things in the attic. Paintings you made when you were a child. I thought you might want them. I know you don't want to see me. I know you've moved on. But I wanted you to know that I'm proud of you. I've followed your career.
I've seen your paintings online.
You're talented, Chloe. You always were. I just didn't tell you enough.
I'm sorry.
For everything. For leaving. For not protecting you. For making you feel like you didn't matter. You mattered. You always did. I was just too blind to see it.
Love.
Mom. I read the letter. Then I read it again. And then I wrote back. Not a long letter. Just a few sentences. Mom. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Because I deserve peace. I don't want the paintings.
Keep them.
Or burn them. Whatever helps you heal. I'm not coming back. But I'm not angry anymore. Take care of yourself. Chloe. I mailed the letter. I never heard from her again. Here's what I learned. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who doesn't leave you behind when the storm comes. My parents left me. My sister left me. But Bailey stayed. Mowgli stayed. Maya stayed. The people of Cedar Falls stayed. They're my family now. The family I chose. The family that chose me. Do I miss my parents? Sometimes. In the way you miss a tooth that's been pulled. There's a hole there. An empty space. But it doesn't hurt anymore. Do I forgive them? Yes. Not because they deserve it. Because holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting them to die. Do I regret leaving? Never. Because leaving saved my life. Here's something I learned in the years after I stopped being the daughter my parents left behind.
Healing is not a straight line.
It's a circle. You think you're done, you think you've moved on, and then something pulls you back. A memory. A smell. A song on the radio that you haven't heard in years. You don't get over it. You get through it, and then you get through it again, and again, until one day you realize you've been through it so many times that it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just a scar, a reminder of something that happened a long time ago. I live in Cedar Falls now, permanently. The apartment above the bakery is still mine. The windows still let in light. Bailey is older now, gray around the muzzle, slower on his walks. Mowgli still sits on the windowsill, still watches birds that aren't there, still pretends he doesn't need me. The gallery is thriving. Maya and I built it together. Blood, sweat, and too many cups of coffee. We've hosted shows for artists from all over the country. We've sold paintings to people who flew in just to see our little gallery in our little town. I'm not famous. I'm not rich. But I'm happy. And happiness, I've learned, is not about what you have. It's about what you've let go of. Welcome back to Gentle Drama. Get comfortable. Grab your coffee. This is the final chapter of Chloe's story. Drop a comment and tell us, what city are you watching from, and how old are you?
And be sure to subscribe.
You're going to love how this ends. The first year after I cut ties with my family, I waited for the guilt to come. It didn't. I waited for the regret, the second-guessing, the 3 a.m. what have I done? It didn't come either. What came was peace.
Quiet.
The kind of silence that settles over you when you stop waiting for someone to love you the way you deserve. I used to think that family was everything, that you endured, that you forgave, that you kept showing up no matter how many times they disappointed you. I don't think that anymore. I think family is a choice. And I chose myself. The gallery had its best year, yet when I turned 30, Maya threw a party. Not a big one. Just friends.
Wine. Cheese.
A cake that said, "Happy birthday, Chloe, you made it." I cried when I saw the cake. Not because I was sad. Because I couldn't believe I'd made it at all. There were moments in that basement, holding Bailey and Mowgli, listening to the house tear apart above me, when I didn't think I'd survive. But I did. And now I was here, 30 years old, a business owner, an artist, a woman who had built something from nothing. Bailey sat at my feet. Mowgli watched from the windowsill. Maya handed me a glass of champagne. To Chloe, she said, "The strongest person I know." To Maya, I said, "The sister I chose." We drank.
We laughed.
We cried a little. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. If you've made it this far, you can probably feel what's coming. Before things get real, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. I promise you, you do not want to miss how Chloe's story ends. Let's keep going. The second year, I painted a series about the storm. Not the tornado. The storm inside me. The one that had been brewing since I was a child. The one that finally broke when my parents drove away. I called the series The Left Behind. There were 7 paintings. Each one depicted a different moment from that day. The green sky. The empty driveway. The basement stairs. The silence after the roar. The last painting was different. It showed a woman standing in a field. The sun was rising. Behind her was a destroyed house. In front of her was open land. She was walking away. I called it The Beginning. The series was the most honest work I'd ever done. I was afraid to show it, afraid that people would see too much, afraid that they would judge me for being angry, for being bitter, for not forgiving my family. Maya convinced me to exhibit it.
"This is your story," she said.
"You don't have to hide it. What if people think I'm just bitter? Then those people have never been left behind." The show opened on a Friday night. The gallery was packed. People I knew, people I didn't. Art collectors,
Critics. Friends.
and one person I never expected to see. Stephanie. She was standing in the back of the gallery, alone. No husband, no friends, just her. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked older, thinner. The confident lawyer I remembered was gone. In her place was a woman who looked tired,
Broken. Lost.
I walked over to her. "Stephanie." "Chloe. How did you find me?"
Maya.
"I called the gallery. She said you were having a show. She told me to come." I looked at Maya. She was across the room, talking to a customer. She caught my eye and nodded. "Why are you here?" I asked. "I wanted to see you. To apologize. To explain." I don't need an explanation. I know, but I need to give one. She looked at the paintings. At the beginning. At the woman walking away from the destroyed house. I think about that day every day, she said. The tornado. The car. The way we left you. Do you?
Yes.
I remember sitting in the back seat. I remember Mom saying the car was full. I remember Dad backing out of the driveway. And I remember looking at you standing on the porch, holding Bailey and thinking, we shouldn't be doing this. But you didn't say anything.
No.
I didn't. Her voice cracked. I was a coward. I was selfish. I was so used to being the one who got everything that I didn't even think about what you were losing. She wiped her eyes.
I'm sorry, Chloe.
I'm so sorry. I know it doesn't matter. I know it's too late. But I needed you to hear it. I looked at her. This woman who had been given everything. This woman who had never had to fight for anything. This woman who sat in the back seat while I stood on the porch, watching them leave. Thank you, I said, for saying that. Do you forgive me? I'm working on it. She nodded. I'll take that. We stood in silence for a moment. The gallery buzzed around us. People laughing. Glasses clinking. The sound of a world that was still spinning, even after everything. How's Mom? I asked. She's okay. She misses you. She talks about you all the time. She should have thought about that before she left me in a tornado. I know. Does she know you're here?
No.
This is just me. I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't the same person who'd sat in that car. Neither was I. Do you want to see the rest of the show? I asked. I'd like that. I walked her through the gallery. Painting by painting. The green sky. The empty driveway. The basement. The silence. The survivor. She stopped at the survivor. The girl in the basement, holding a dog and a cat, the ceiling open to the sky. This is you, she said. Yes. You look so small. I felt small. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. I didn't say anything. There was nothing left to say. If you've made it this far, you're one of the few. Most people would have stopped by now, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit that subscribe button and drop a like. What comes next? You don't want to miss it. Stephanie left at the end of the night. She hugged me before she went. It was awkward. Stiff. Two people who used to be sisters trying to remember how to be sisters again. Can I call you sometime? She asked. You can try. Will you answer? I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. She nodded. That's fair. She walked out the door. I watched her go. She didn't look back. I didn't know if I'd ever see her again. I didn't know if I wanted to. But for the first time, I wasn't angry. I was just neutral. Like she was a person I used to know. Like the past was something I'd survived, not something I was still fighting. Maya came up beside me. That was brave. It didn't feel brave. It never does.
She put her arm around me.
We stood there, watching the empty street. You okay? I think so. Good. Because the show was a success. We sold every painting. I laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious. The beginning went for $5,000. The buyer said it reminded her of her own life. I shook my head. I can't believe it. Believe it. You're an artist, Chloe. A real one. I looked at the empty wall where the beginning had hung. The woman walking away from the destroyed house. Walking towards something new. That was me. That had always been me. The years passed. Bailey got older. His walks got shorter. He spent more time sleeping, less time chasing squirrels. But his tail still wagged when I came home. His head still found my lap when I sat on the couch. Mowgli remained unchanged. Aloof. Independent. The king of the apartment who allowed us to live in his kingdom. Maya and I grew the gallery. We opened a second location. We started an artist residency program. We gave grants to young painters who couldn't afford supplies. I thought about my grandmother sometimes. The one who believed in me before anyone else. The one who said, "You're the only one who sees me." She would have been proud. I like to think that. I like to think she's watching from wherever she is, shaking her head at the mess her son made, but smiling at what I built from the rubble. If you've made it this far, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed.
That tells me something about you.
Hit subscribe because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe finally closes that door. The call came on a Tuesday. I was in the gallery hanging a new show. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello.
Chloe.
It's Mom. I stopped. The painting in my hand was crooked. I didn't fix it. How did you get this number? Stephanie gave it to me. I hope that's okay. What do you want, Mom? I want to see you. Before it's too late. Too late for what?
I'm sick, Chloe.
Cancer. Like your father. I sat down on the floor. The painting leaned against the wall. A landscape. A field. A sunrise. How bad?
Bad.
I don't have much time. The doctors say maybe 6 months. I didn't say anything.
What was there to say?
I know I don't deserve to see you. I know I hurt you. I know I left you when you needed me most. But I'm asking anyway.
Please.
Come see me. Just once. I thought about the basement. The green sky. The car pulling out of the driveway. I thought about Bailey, pressed against me. Mowgli, hiding in his carrier. I thought about the silence after the tornado. The way the world looked when I climbed out of the basement. The way everything was destroyed except me. I'll think about it, I said. That's all I ask. I hung up, sat on the floor, stared at the painting.
Maya found me there.
What's wrong? My mother is dying. Are you going to see her? I don't know. What does your gut say? My gut says no. Then don't go. But what if I regret it?
Maya sat down next to me.
You might, but you might regret going more. Only you can decide.
I thought about it for a long time.
I didn't go. Not because I was angry. The anger had faded years ago. Not because I was bitter. I'd made peace with what happened. I didn't go because I was done. Done being the one who showed up. Done being the one who put their needs above mine. Done being the one who came running every time they called. I had a life. A good life. A life I'd built myself. And I wasn't going to tear it apart for people who had never done the same for me. My mother died 4 months later. Stephanie called me.
She's gone.
She went peacefully. In her sleep. Was she in pain? Not at the end. Good. She asked about you. Before she died, she asked if you'd called. Did she understand why I didn't? I think so. I think she finally understood. We were both quiet for a moment. The funeral is Saturday, Stephanie said. You don't have to come, but you're invited. I'll think about it. That's what you always say. It's what I always do. I didn't go to the funeral. I couldn't. Not because I didn't want to say goodbye. Because I'd already said goodbye. Years ago. In that basement, holding my animals, listening to the world fall apart above me. I said goodbye to them when they drove away. And I never looked back.
Here's what I learned in the end.
You don't have to forgive people who hurt you. You don't have to forget. You don't have to show up at their funeral or hold their hand or pretend that everything is okay. You just have to let go. Not for them.
For you.
Because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. It doesn't work. It only hurts you. I let go of my parents. Not because they deserved it. Because I deserved peace. And I found it. In a small town. In a gallery. In a dog and a cat. And a woman who became my sister. I found it in myself. All right, this is the moment everything changes. If you're still here, you're one of the rare ones. 94% of people scroll past without subscribing, but you stayed. That tells me something about you. Hit subscribe, because what comes next? You deserve to see how Chloe's story ends, for real this time. Bailey died 2 years after my mother. He was old. 16. That's ancient for a dog. He'd been slowing down for months. Sleeping more. Eating less. Not wanting to go on walks. I knew it was coming. But you're never ready. Not really. The vet came to the apartment. Bailey was in his bed, his head on his paws. Mowgli sat on the windowsill, watching. Are you sure? The vet asked. I'm sure. She gave him the injection. He went to sleep. His tail didn't wag. His eyes didn't open. He just stopped. I held him for a long time after he was gone. His fur was still warm. His body was still soft. Mowgli jumped down from the windowsill. walked over to Bailey, sniffed him, then curled up next to him. Even the cat knew. I buried Bailey in the backyard, under the big oak tree. I planted flowers on top of him. Sunflowers. His favorite.
Good boy, I said.
You were the best boy. I went inside, sat on the couch. Mowgli climbed into my lap. We stayed there for a long time, just the two of us. The cat who pretended he didn't need me, and me, pretending I wasn't falling apart. Mowgli died 6 months later. The vet said it was old age. 17. A good life for a cat. I buried him next to Bailey, under the oak tree, next to the sunflowers. You were a jerk, I said. But you were my jerk. I went inside. The apartment was quiet.
No barking. No meowing.
No little feet padding across the floor. I sat on the couch, stared at the wall. For the first time in 15 years, I was completely alone. I didn't get new animals right away. I needed time. Time to grieve. Time to adjust. Time to figure out who I was without them. Maya checked on me every day, brought me food, made me leave the apartment, kept me from disappearing into myself. You're not alone, she said. You have me. I know. Then act like it. I laughed. The first real laugh in weeks. Okay, I said. Okay. 6 months later, I went to the animal shelter. Not because I was ready. Because Bailey and Mowgli would have wanted me to. There was a dog. A mutt. Brown and white. Big ears. A tail that wouldn't stop wagging. He looked at me through the cage. His eyes said, "Take me home." What's his name? He doesn't have one yet, the volunteer said. He was found on the side of the road.
No collar. No chip.
I'll take him. I named him Benny. Not after anyone. Just because it fit. There was a cat too. Black. Green eyes. Sitting in the corner of her cage, watching me. What about her? The volunteer asked. She looks like she doesn't need anyone. That's what they all say. But they always need someone. They're just too proud to admit it. I laughed. I know that feeling. I took her too. Named her Luna. Benny and Luna didn't replace Bailey and Mowgli. No one could. But they filled the space. Made the apartment feel like home again. The gallery is still there. Small. White walls. Paintings in the window. Maya and I still run it together.
We're older now.
Grayer.
Slower.
But we still love it. I still paint. Not as much as I used to. But enough. Enough to keep me honest. Enough to remind me of who I am. The series about the storm is in a museum now.
Someone donated it.
A collector who said it belonged to the world.
I don't know about that.
But I'm glad it's out there. Glad people can see it. Glad they can know that they're not alone. That other people have been left behind too. That survival is possible. Because it is.
I'm proof.
Here's what I want you to take from this story. Not revenge. Not hatred. Not the satisfaction of watching someone fall. I want you to take this. You can love someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone without letting them back in. You can set boundaries without anger. You can choose yourself without guilt. My parents left me. My sister sat in the back seat and watched. They left me to die.
But I didn't die.
I survived. I built a life. I found a family. And I learned that being left behind was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it forced me to become someone I never would have been otherwise. Strong. Independent.
Free.
Last Sunday, I took Benny for a walk along the river. The sun was setting. The water was gold. The world was quiet. I thought about my parents. About Stephanie. About the house that was destroyed by the tornado. I thought about the basement. The animals. The silence after the roar. I thought about the woman I used to be. The one who stood on the porch, watching the car disappear. The one who thought she'd never be okay again. She was wrong. I am okay. Better than okay. I am happy. Benny wagged his tail. Luna was at home, sitting on the windowsill, watching the world go by. I smiled. Because I wasn't the woman on the porch anymore. I was the woman who walked away. And that woman was free.
The end.
Thank you for listening to Gentle Drama. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment and tell us, what city are you watching from, and how old are you? Have you ever been left behind by someone who is supposed to protect you? Subscribe for more stories about survival, healing, and finding your way home. And remember, sometimes being left behind is the best thing that can happen to you, because it forces you to find your own way.
See you next time.